for that. Thank you for that. Yeah. So now what we are going to discuss today is that, see, dynamics of group work is really a small topic, but the dynamics what we are going to discuss today, some of the dynamics you might know, some of the dynamics may be new to you. But being a group worker, being a social worker, we should know what changes that happens in the group, or what problems can or may occur in the group, and being a social worker or being a group worker, how I should solve the problem. Now let me give one more brief introduction to you. See, group dynamics has been used to refer to the group processes, like group process what we discussed last. Let me tell you that the something continuation like themselves, or to the methods of changing group behavior. Dear friends, you all know that now maybe I don't know, maybe you are maybe in the class 20, 25 or 30. Each 30 is different. Like each individual is different. Each individual is unique. Now you have your own thoughts, you have your own emotions, you have your own feelings. Now what happened is that when we want to discuss something in your class, or when we want to raise the issue in the class, difference of opinion will definitely will come. Sometimes what happened, when someone say yes, someone may not say yes. When someone say no, someone say yes for that. Or maybe the way you think, the way you act, the way you react, the way you motivate, the way you analyze, the way you evaluate, everything is different. But what happens is that when I am a group worker, when I deal with the group work, or when group of people are in front of me, I should know how to handle the issues. Because what happens if I don't handle the issues in a proper way, if I don't know the dynamics, it means that the changes, the problems, the shortcomings, the blocks of my group, then my group may not go forward. My group may not achieve the task, or my group may not grow and develop. So that is why what happened. See, the continuation, the explanation will tell you here that the fields of specialization which is interested in increasing our knowledge of group life, of its process, special phenomena, its particular laws, and in the practical application of this knowledge to specific situations. Now, dear friends, as I go one by one, you will come to know when this dynamic or when this change will take place in the group, and as a group worker, how I need to handle. Yeah, that is correct. But what are the methods I should use? Now, for example, if a conflict comes, how I should handle. All these things are very important. Yeah, let's go one by one. Yeah. Now these are the types of group dynamics: bond, subgroups, roles, leadership, isolates, scapegoats, newcomer, conflicts, group control, hostility, and behavior contagion. Let me go one by one. Now, so I think even this I have discussed in my last slide also. Bond. A group becomes a group more than the sum of its individual when it develops a certain relationship, a tie, a force that gives the individual a feeling of belonging. This feeling of belonging or belongingness is called as bond. Bond is nothing but, dear friend, a kind of relationship, a intimate, a strong relationship. That is why we call it as a bond. Why this relationship is important? Even let me not give much explanation here, because same thing I have discussed in process also. See, when you are together, united together, when you understand each other, when you understand others' problem, and when there is a strong relationship, nobody can break your group, or nobody can break your group activity. So understanding each other, creating an environment where people feel for each other, people get that intimacy, or people understand each other, or creating that environment is something like what I want to define here as a bond. Because when you understand each other, when you plan your activities, or when you give a person to give a chance to speak, and without knowing or without they are telling you understand their problem, you try to solve their issues, you try to solve their group issues, all these things what happen will create a bond between you and your group members. And dear friends, remember that for social group worker, no matter you work in any group, no matter you are the part of any group, being a group worker, creating this environment is nothing but a relationship which plays a very important role, because that bond will unite your group. By the time this, like, now I think you might have understood why a social worker or why a group worker should know dynamics. See, bond is one of the dynamic, because you should know whether members are together, whether there is a relationship between group members, whether relationship between you and your group members, or because here in general sense, what I can say here is that the relationship play a key role in group development. Yeah. The next one, the subgroups. Now here the group worker has to be really careful. Most groups show the phenomena of subgroups to each group situation. Each individual brings a unique combination which is a result of his own internal and external reactions in various environments. Now dear friends, what happens is that for any group, see, sometime you can take it in a two ways. First, we should know what is subgroups. Now, let me give a very clear example. Imagine now Ida Madam wants to organize one program, maybe a workshop, maybe a training. Now, you are together if you are 25. Now, what happens is that during any program or if the program has to take place, now there will be subgroups. Now, I'll give a simple example. Subgroups like one has to do MC, one has to do vote of thanks, few has to see the workshop management, few will be in the food committee, few will be in the guest committee, something like that. Now these committees are formed so that the program can take place in a better way. So why these subgroups are formed? Because so that the program has to happen in a better way. Now what happened, maybe in some time when we take group activity, we give some roles to the group members. That time again the subgroups might happen, but positive subgroups. Now what happens dear friends is that if without the group workers knowledge or without the social workers knowledge or without knowing, if they themselves create subgroups, okay, these people only the part of my groups, these people are not part of my groups, we only should talk, we should not talk, sorry, this will create a negative impact to the group. Subgroup is what? In the group there are different groups. Now what happened dear friends, if group see again, if we go to the first one, if the relationship is not developed in proper way, there is a chance where there are chances of subgroups. Two members in one group or five members in one group, they are in their own way, they are in their own environment, they have their own knowledge, and they are doing their activity their own. And what happens is that if we don't tackle these subgroups in proper way, they may create block or they may create problem to the main group. That is why even when you for any programs, any activities, any workshop or anything, when you really give task, you should also tell them that this group will remain only for this task, then all the group will come together, all the group will be united. See, without knowing you also, if there are subgroups, it is a role of the social worker or it is a role of the group worker to bring that subgroups to the main group. Dear friends, as I told you already, if you don't work on the subgroups will either dissolve the group or the group itself may come to an end. So I think by the time you might have come to know that what do you mean by subgroups. Subgroups can be positive, subgroups can be negative. If the subgroups are positive, no problem at all. I still remember this was an incident shared by one of my friends. What happened is that in one of the MSW college, during the second year, the girl had faced some issues. She had some issues which I can't discuss here. So what she did is that she felt kind of uneasiness. She was stressed. So she could not come back to the college. She wanted to come, but she could not come back. So in that college, they formed a group. That group has gone to the girl's house. They sat, they discussed, they made her to understand, and they brought her back. Now you might have understood now the positive impact of subgroup. Similarly, when I say positive, there can be negative subgroups also. So they will not allow you to grow. They will not allow you to take part. They will not allow the group to grow. So dear friends, and sometimes the group worker may not know that there are subgroups, but I tell you very clearly and very seriously that a group worker should know the different subgroups which are there in the group, and we should plan our activities. We should work in such a way that that subgroup should be united. Yeah. Let me go to the next slide. Roles. Now, as the group develops, the interaction process will differentiate specific role for the various members. Roles may be broadly divided into two types. task-oriented rule, maintain role. Now, dear friends, you might remember when I was discussing the process of group work, there I have mentioned something like each individual has to perform their role. Each individual has to do the task given to them. Then what happened? Then only the group may go in a very systematic way. Now, being an individual, now for example, if you are 25 in your class as a group, each individual should perform his role so that the total class will go in a better way, or the total class can function it in a better way. Similarly, in the group, maybe the group of 20, each individual has to perform his role. What is role? You remember in the last in the process I have told you, the group worker will form some rules and regulations, and the rules and regulations they have to follow. For example, my role is that for the development of the group work, I have to follow these rules. I have to, what I can say in the very simplest manner, what I can say is, if I don't follow the rules and regulation, what happened again? Repetition, that my group cannot perform well, and that is why whatever the rules they have given me, I have to perform. But the next thing is that here, that two things you can see here: task oriented roles and maintenance role. Now, for example, task oriented is nothing but, just now I gave an example. When special event is organized in the group, you are given some task. The special event can be anything that can be training, that can be workshop, that can be a special lecture, that can be a outing, that can be a exposure, or that can be somebody coming from outside and giving a lecture. Anything can happen, or anything can happen. So that is why during this time, apart from your roles, you are given some extra roles. So you need to perform that, means you are given some task. So you have to perform that task. The task is associated with the role. In a sense, for example, if you are given master of ceremony is a task as well as it has a role you have to perform on that day. That's all. Extra role you have to perform. Now, so there might be different tasks may come up. Maintenance roles are nothing but, as you join the group, till you are part of the group, you are supposed to maintain something. You are supposed to maintain the rules and regulation. You are supposed to balance certain things. Means without saying anybody, in the beginning only they have explained you, they have told you that these are the roles you have to perform. These roles are called as maintenance role. These roles will not change. But the task oriented role can change time to time, because every time when you are given new task, or every time when you are given new assignment, you are supposed to perform that role. Yeah, just give me 1 minute, sorry. Now, dear friends, many of you know now, if at all I have taken this session offline, I would have asked you one question. Maybe, are you a leader? Now, when I say myself, I'm a social worker, or when I say myself as a group worker, I should also know that whether I am a leader, or am I capable to take leadership? Now, dear friends, in group work also, leadership play a very major role. Let me just read it for you. Leadership is conceived as as the product of the interaction between the total personality of the leader and the dynamic social situation in which he has his being. The person is the leader of a group when he invites his emotions and energies in such a way as to contribute to the group's maintenance and enhancement. Maybe, dear friends, by this sentence you might be very clear that leadership is nothing but, see here again, the person is a leader of a group. Leadership is not you are a leader, you are a group worker. But when you elect or select a leader for your group, the leader cannot be partial. A leader cannot be what I can say judgmental, or leader cannot take a part and speak. No, the leader should understand his group environment. The leader should understand the group emotion, and leaders should understand what are the maintenance role. Let me go to previous slide here once again. What are the tasks which has to be performed by the member? See, otherwise what happens is that if the leader is partial, then what happens? Your group may not grow. Now, dear friends, I also want to add one example here. Usually what happens is that when you really go to children's group work, children's group, selecting a leader is very difficult, or it's not electing, actually selecting. So what happened when the selecting of leader doesn't take place? Yeah, you have to go for an election. Now, what happened? The election during the election, what happened? If the 4 or 5 members they stand in a small group, the votes will be divided, and definitely I'm sure they will select one leader. But what happens is that once the leader is selected by the group members, it is the duty of the group worker to develop a bond, develop a relationship with the leader in such a way that the leader should take a serious part, or what I can say a very rigid part, or what I can say a very crucial part to lead the group. You are as a group worker, your leader and your group members. If the leader doesn't perform his task, then that will also create a negative impact to your group. That is why, see again, let me read the last sentence here. See, emotions and energies in such a way. Who invests? The leader invests his emotions and energies in such a way that to contribute to the group's maintenance and enhancement. So the leader of the group should always see that he should maintain the group. He should see that the group should grow. He should also see that the group should develop, and whatever the rules and regulations are there, or whatever the task you have, or whatever the goals you have planned for the achievement and for the development, the leaders should help. See, dear friends, you should also remember one thing here. If the leader is not performing his task, if the leader is not doing what he's supposed to do, the group worker should be alert, and you have full right whether you need to change the leadership or whether you need to keep the same leader. Because remember, if the leader is not doing proper, if the leadership is not taken in a proper way, it is the role of the group worker to change. Dear friends, again, what I want to add here is that by the time you might have understood that why group workers should know these dynamics. We discussed about rules, we discussed about subgroups, we discussed about bond, and now we are discussing about leadership. Now, when we discuss these things, you will come to know these may be the small aspects in the group, or what I can say, the small factors in the group. But being a group worker, if you don't handle these factors in proper way, this may create, what I can say, this may create a major problem or major threat for your group activity. So here, see, isolates. Maybe if you go back to your primary class. Yeah, madam, somebody is asking something. No, okay. So if you go back to your primary class, maybe some of you might have observed there were people, they don't talk, they don't react, or they don't talk much, they don't involve much, they don't interact much. So they are in their own way. They may be sitting somewhere, or maybe you might have observed these people. Now, the social isolate is the person who is present but generally ignored by others. Many a time what happened when the class or when the group activity takes place, if the person doesn't talk, if the person doesn't interact, if the person doesn't show any interest, what happens is that we just neglect the person. We, what I can say, we keep a block, or we maintain a gap between him and me, or maybe something like that. Now, he does not seem to reach out to others, or he reaches out but is rejected. Maybe the person in some other way, maybe in other way, what I can say is that maybe the person wants to talk, the person wants to communicate, the person wants to interact. Maybe sometime what happened, we might be rejecting him. We in the sense, sorry, group might be rejecting. Now, his lack of affiliation with others in the group may be due to lack of capacity to get indulged, to get along with others, or he may differ in values, beliefs, and lifestyle from the others to be a deviant. Dear friends, I think I can give you here hundreds of examples, because I personally handled cases of isolates in the group. Sometime when isolate is there in the group, when we really go to like, you know, maybe in social work you do home visits. Like when we go for their home visit and all, we can understand the family is very orthodox, the family is very rigid. So what happened, when he sits in other friends and all, he definitely he will maintain that gap, because what happened, he cannot talk, he cannot interact, he has to maintain that what I can say gap. There are a lot of things happens, you know, if you really go to village schools and all, the situation become more worst. I don't want to mention because of what and all, but the situation become more worse. Or maybe sometime what happened, maybe because of any family situation, because of any family condition, the person may be isolated. And also sometimes, you know, this caste, religion also play a role in when we talk about isolate. Let me not discuss that much here. But dear friends, what I want you to understand is that always keep a mark that if there is a person or whom we call as an isolate, see, isolate is a term I am using here, but we don't term any person isolate in the group. But if the person is not interacting, if the person is not gelling well with the group, or person is unable to share, then we might have to do something. Dear friends, I have handled many cases where many people, those who come to this our new campus, they feel a kind of isolation, because what happened, they leave all their friends and they come back here the situation is different, classroom is different, and what they feel, they see what happened. For some people, they are like bindas people, they know how to talk, they know how to interact, they make friends very easily, okay, done. But there are people, they cannot interact, they cannot initiate something, they cannot initiate a talk. Now, if at all you feel that if these people are there in your group, if these kind of people, see, sometime maybe they cannot initiate, sometime they might have family problem, or they might have health issues, there are lot things a person might have. So what we need to really do is that, being a group worker, you need to step by step, you need to really try to bring them back to the group. And dear friends, now you might have a question, if he doesn't listen, no, if your approach is good, if your activities are good, if your planning for the group is good, definitely you can bring back that isolate person to the group. Because I still remember when we do group work in the school, we used to get such kind of students, isolates we used to get. But what happened, as we discussed in the process, only 20 members in the group, and we can really give what I can say individual concentration we can give, so that what happened, creating an environment where everybody can share, everybody has to talk, everybody has to participate. Maybe sometime for this isolated people, some special attention is required, but definitely you can bring what a positive light in that person's life. Yeah. Now, so dear friends, the picture and the sentence communicate something. Scapegoats. Now, who are these scapegoats? In Hindi, I think you might have heard Balika Bakra, what we say. Now, what is that Balika Bakra or scapegoat? See, a scapegoat is a person who is always blamed or punished for the mistakes or wrongdoing of others. Maybe the rejected isolate, if we go back to the previous slide, the rejected isolate sometimes become the scapegoat of the group. Scapegoat is the one on whom the group places all its discomfort. Sometimes what happened, dear friends, this happens in the school and I have witnessed it. If anybody, what I can say, if anybody is doing anything, or if anybody is doing anything wrong, any mischief things and all, instead of taking blame on himself, we blame on others, or we blame on one person. Maybe the person may be an isolate, or the person may be having very poor communication skill, or the person may not know how to express. So these times what happens is that the person becomes scapegoat. Whatever happens in the class, whatever mistakes happens in the class, we blame on one individual, and that individual doesn't know how to express, doesn't know how to say anything, will only cry, doesn't say anything. Now we need to identify these scapegoats in our group, because these scapegoats cannot remain scapegoats forever. These scapegoats has to be brought to the main circle, and they have to be treated equally. Like I said, isolate similarly with the scapegoats. Now we see, for anybody's problem, we cannot blame anybody. You got my point, I feel. So being a group worker, identifying these scapegoats in your group, or maybe you should also know that sometimes these children do this mistake. If anything happens in the class, they just blame on others. When they blame, they know that they're very clever, they're very intelligent. They have to put the blame on whom? So the what happened, easily a teacher or a sir, anybody will easily agree. Okay, he's something like that. He's like that only. So he might have done that because he doesn't speak, he doesn't communicate, but he's number one. He's number one. He in doing mischief is number one. We say, but we don't analyze whether he has done it or whether he has not done it. Maybe sometime we know you might have you might have heard the word hyperactive. Maybe there might be a hyperactive child in the class. So sometimes what happens, if whether the child is doing mistake or not, without understanding we blame. Now the scapegoats tells us that there might be a scapegoat in every group. We can't say, may not be. It's not that compulsory that everybody in every group work there should be a scapegoat. No, there may not be a scapegoat in the group, or there may be. Now the question is that understanding this dynamics is very important. Now, if there is a scapegoat, if people simply blame or if people simply reject one person, being a group worker, I should understand. That is why when anybody comes and says anything, instead of jumping into conclusion, understanding the background, understanding the environment, understanding the problem, understanding the person, then giving a right decision or solution. Okay, newcomer. So I think, give me just 1 minute, sorry. I think, dear friends, you're all, majority of you might be newcomer because COVID was there, pandemic was there. Very rarely you got a chance to have offline classes or start offline classes. Now you are together, maybe by the time you might have understood each other, you might have developed that close friendship thing and all. Now what happened if anybody joins in the month of December? Maybe how you will treat him? No, nobody will join. Don't mistake me. Nobody will join in the month of December. But if anybody newcomer will join your group in the month of December, how you are going to treat him? Will you accept him? Or will you only stick with your close friend? Or will you be only interacting with your best friend? Or will you only go out with your best friend? All these are questions. You don't have to answer, but all these are questions. Now, here also what happens is that the newcomer is the one who joins the group in the later stages of the group process or group functioning. Many a time what happens is that in some of the group, maybe see, if you take the primary school and all, if you take the primary school group and all, definitely there are children's or there are individuals, they join in between, but they suffer a lot because we have handled these cases and we have also know that what are the sufferings and problems of newcomer. Let me highlight few. People don't talk, people don't socialize with them, they treat them somebody new, they treat them something new, or they keep away from his group. When they go out, they don't take him or they don't interact much. He is not allowed to perform. So dear friends, what happens is that maybe in future, not now, in future, when you really do practical group work, you might also get a chance, or you might also face something like this when the newcomers comes and join. Dear friends, when the newcomer comes and join, he has to really face so many things. First of all, environment is different, group is different, members are different, activities are new to him. So all these things, new. So here what happens is that not only the members, even the group worker, this dynamic is especially for the group worker to understand, because when a new member comes and joins in between, he has to face a lot. So creating a environment for this newcomer where he can socialize with the group work very easily. Now, why I'm saying this, because when you feel that a newcomer is coming and joining, introducing him, socializing him with the group, involving him in the activities, giving him some task and all. So all these things play a very important role. Then what happened? Your newcomer will become old comer very easily. Otherwise, he will be forever newcomer only. So make that new into old, but making that new into old is completely depend on you. So this is one of the major part, or what I can say, this is one of the crucial part for the group workup. Now, conflicts, nothing but the opposition, disagreement, and the difference of opinion that arises among the group members. Opposition is distinguished through expression of conflict and competition. Now, dear friends, competitions are part of anybody's life. Now, sometime what happened? Competition, not competition, conflicts. Conflicts becomes a part of our life. Sometime conflicts will lead into negative competitions, but conflicts will rarely lead into positive competitions. You know why? See, this conflicts, what happens is that, see, that is why I told you in the beginning, when I was explaining the bond, when people come together, when people with the different ideas, different thought, knowledge, emotions come together, definitely what happens is that mismatch will definitely will happen. Because see, for me, for you, or for anybody, we doesn't has to agree for everything, or we doesn't has to say yes to everything, because what the way I think, the way I understand, the way I judge, or the knowledge I know is different from others, but that doesn't mean that I am right every time. So this creates the problem. This creates a major problem. Now, any conflicts if arise in the group, or see, first of all, group, dear friends, what I want to really tell you is that never give a chance, or never create an environment, or never plan activities, programs, or discussion, anything which give birth to conflicts, or never bring such kind of topics in your group which give birth to conflicts. Because again, conflicts, it will clash with, let me go back here from here, conflicts, it will, the conflicts will what happen, create a negative competition in the group. Negative competition will create subgroups, role is divided, and you know what happens. So you know the dynamics will develop here, the problems may become more. That is why handling these conflicts. Now, dear friends, I cannot give you much examples here, because based on the conflicts you should take action. Now, what conflicts are arising, you should take action. Now, actually, the few points which I have highlighted, what actually you can do. Now, see, conflicts can come at any time, any situation. If any situation is arising, or if group worker is partial, that is why I told you group worker should not be partial. Or if the group worker is unable to understand, if the group worker is unable to create a good environment, if the group worker is unable to create a good relationship, same thing with the group members also, there is a high chances conflicts might arise. So if I create an environment, or if I create a good environment, if I don't give a scope for conflicts, you don't have to handle this at all. But anytime if the conflicts arises, it is your duty to handle. Now, there are few things which I would like to discuss. Now, elimination, let me read this for you. See, the complete removal or destruction of something, the act or process of excluding or get rid of. Now, elimination is something, see dear friends, I cannot give you the exact examples here. Removal or get rid of. Now you should see that why that conflict has come, why the situation has arisen. Now, for example, I told you when you select a leader for the group, you cannot select a leader. They need to select a leader sometime. They need to see that. That is why there is a different process you have to follow. And for example, if you are organizing one program, there is a high chances where some will agree, some will disagree. That is why whenever you plan anything, you should plan it in a such a way that that should not give birth to conflict. Or if it is arising, you should know how to eliminate it with the consent of everybody, with the consent of all the group members. You should know how to eliminate it. Now, next is something called subjugation. Maybe for some subjugation word might be new. Let me tell you the meaning of this. The action of bringing someone or something under domination or control. See, many a time, yeah, dear friends, this happens many a time. Being a group worker, sometimes you should take a strong role, strong action. See, if both are not agreeing, if the conflict is going up and up, there is somewhere the group worker has to stop, because that should come under your control. If that doesn't come under your control, the group may divide, the group may dissolve, then there is no group activities at all. So you should know the situation first, you should understand the situation first, and if it is required, you bring it under your control. in a positive manner, in a very, what I can say, very beautiful manner, and try to solve the issue. Now, compromise in certain, for example, maybe I'll give an example here. If you want to organize one program, you have to decide some topics and all. Now, when you decide some topics, few people may agree, few people may not agree. Common thing, nothing wrong in that. But how, as a group worker, how you are going to convince that why this topic is important, why we need to discuss about this topic, and what are the benefits we'll get from this is important. Now, dear friends, I still remember in one of the Sri Shakti group, when we want to organize a program on self-employment, importance of self-employment. People said that people come, people tell these things and all. People say that we have to do this, we have to do that as well. Why we only need a talk of self-employment? We should know how to prepare certain things and all. So what we did is, dear friends, no, this was not actual conflict, but this was a conflict because previous members also, those who come for that group, they have organized a program, but they didn't do it anything practically. So what we did is that with the talk, vinyl making or daily things making, soap making, all these things we have conducted. Now compromise here may not be the right example for compromise, but what we need to do is that both has to understand why I am doing this, or both has to come to a conclusion that this we have organized or this we have planned, so that you will get the knowledge or you will get benefit from this. Now, alliance, dear friends, you might have heard many a time this word alliance. Alliance is nothing but, see what I can say, with the similarity of interest, similarity of nature, qualities, you come together. Like mutual benefits, you come together. Now, dear friends, creating this alliance, see, creating alliance is nothing but all the members should understand that they are in your group with the purpose. They are in your group for certain reason. So that reason has to be communicated with them so that they can come together. You can easily solve the conflict. Now, integration, you all know that uniting different things together. Now, dear friends, let me give little more clarification here. Being a group worker, first you need to know that conflicts, or for what reason this conflict has arisen, whether it is because of an individual person, it is because of the group, it is because of the group worker, it is because of the activity, or it is because of the what reason. Based on that, now see, elimination, subjugation, compromise, alliance, integration. Now you cannot follow these things exactly when you're doing it practically, but you should be very kind and you should be very good enough to handle any situation which arise in the group. Yeah. So this I have told you already. Let me just read this for you. Group control. Shared out in pursuit of a common goal for a common purpose by commonly decided process is called as group control. Group control is closely related to the goals, task, and structure of the group. Dear friends, I told you in the beginning only, when you really plan for your group activity or group, in the process also I mentioned the same thing. You follow some rules, follow some regulations. In the roles also I have explained you that there are certain roles are called as maintained roles, there are certain roles are called as task oriented roles. Then what happened is that if the process goes very smoothly as decided and as planned by the group worker, the group will be controlled. Why the group will be controlled? Because then there is no question, then there is no chance for conflicts or anything. Now you need to know what goals you are planning, what task you are planning for the group, what is the structure of your group, how it has to grow, how it has to develop. All these things bring your group together. That is why, dear friends, if you read here, shared out in suit of a common goal for common purpose by commonly decided processes is called as group control. When when the discussion takes place between not only one or two, with everybody, when you come to a conclusion, when you plan together, when you execute together, when you decide together, your group is controlled, because there is no scope for any negative things or there is no scope for any conflicts. And dear friends, remember your group has to be controlled. It is not that it has to be controlled only by you. Group members themselves also should know how to control their group. Yeah. Now I think, yeah, within 5 or 10 minutes, I'll finish. Now hostility. Now see, let me tell you here, hostile behavior or unfriendliness or opposition is nothing but hostility. Now let me read this for you. The move into a group which has developed a bond is not easy. The position of the newcomer, usually the one who has no high status introduction, needs special attention. Group react to the newcomer in a way different from the way they react to any other member. He or she becomes a receiver of the group's hope, anxiety, or its hostility. Now, dear friends, unfriendliness, or what I can say, the opposition, is always a part of the group. Now, here I have given the example of, these are the example of newcomer. So, I told you one thing, that when I said you about the newcomer, I have mentioned specifically that you have to give importance. Yes, I have told you that. You have to give special attention. Yes, you have to make him to involve in the group. But remember one thing, you should also know how the newcomer is behaving in the group. You cannot give over weightage to the group, in the sense over weightage to the newcomer, or you every time you cannot give a special attention to the newcomer, because that also may create more problem. That is why this oppositionness, this unfriendliness, or giving a special what I can say what I can say is that giving special attention or a special interaction with the person should be avoided. Then what happens, see, again, any kind of hostile behavior, any kind of unfriendliness, or what I can say, any kind of opposition should be reduced in the group. Because when there is a need of special attention, yes, you have to give a special attention. Whether he is a rich or poor, that's a different thing. But when there is no special attention is required, you don't have to give, because that may increase this hostile behavior in the group. Yeah, I think probably this is the last one I feel. Behavior contagion. Now, contagion is a pickup of behavior from one individual to another when the originator has no intention of having the others to follow him. Now, dear friends, now let me read one sentence for you here. Is a tendency of people to repeat behavior after others have performed. People very often do what others do. Sometimes we choose to intimate other. Now, many a time you might be now as a students when you are in the degree, primary, PU, or +1 and +2 and all, we intimate others. We perform the behavior. We act out others' behavior. Now, what happened here is that sometimes it is okay, but sometimes what happened when I perform like others perform, when I copy others behavior and when I perform it, somebody may like it or somebody may not like it. It's like the sentence you can see here, it may cause others, it may create a damage, because what happened when I intimate others behavior, many a time people may not like it. People may say, people may react in a different way. Maybe some people might enjoy. See, I still remember when I was taking class, when there is any competition, the student used to perform my behavior. It was really joy for me to see me in the stage as me performed by my own students. But it was really joy. But everybody may not like it, because the way they think, the way they act, the way they react is different. That is why this has to be taken care especially by the group worker, because see, usually see, it is a tendency to repeat the people. When somebody is little unique or little individualistic, we used to repeat their behavior. But that doesn't mean that, or that should not create a block, or that should not hurt them. Now, dear friends, when you see from the bond till this behavior contagion, you can now, let me go back one by one here. Yeah. Now, when you see this, dear friends, types of group dynamics, see, I have discussed all these things with you. By the time you might have understood when you are doing your group activity, when the group process is going on, these all things may come in between. So you need to know how to handle these situations, or you also should know how to take care. So with this, I also want to show you one video. It is a 6 minutes video. Let me see whether I can show it or not. Madam, can I take another 5 minutes if you don't mind? Ida madam is there?
Yes, sir. Now this is.
Yes. Let me play it from the beginning.
On that note, thank you.
One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
Today is my first day and I will be taking all your science subjects, so let's start off on a good note. On that note, thank you. So let's start with a nice round of introductions. My name is Sakshi and I love working with young people.
Ma'am, my name is Anish. I was a topper last year. Ma'am, my IQ is 145 and I've got double promotion once.
My name is Andy. I like dancing. My name is Chetan and I like to play the guitar.
Okay, everyone's done except the last roll number. Zara? Where is Zara?
Zara is a zombie. 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 Zara is a
Class, settle down. Gaurav, I'm gonna kill you.
Hi, how was your day?
Good morning, class of rowdies. You do know that's the name the rest of the school has given you, right? This month, I will not lead the class. You will. Every day, 2 students will come here and present anything that they are passionate about. There is only one rule. You must show respect. So who is courageous enough to accept the challenge?
Ma'am, anything?
Yes, anything.
Our topic is everything you wanted to know about the birds and the bees.
But not afraid to ask.
Sequined in the night sky as the stars shine, they tell a million stories, some of yours and a few of mine.
Today, we both will be teaching you the secret of flight by building a rocket. That balloon over there is also a rocket, but it does not go very far as it does not have any wings to give its flight a direction. So you see, in life, it is very important to have something
Or someone.
yes, or someone who can give you direction every time you're going astray.
It helps you go very far in life. Good morning, class. Today we have prepared a very interesting topic for the class. Today I'm going to tell you about the physics of dance. But before that, my friend here is going to give you a small demo.
something? Your class of rowdies has really changed. How did you manage it?
I haven't done anything. I just created a space where no one is judging them, where they can learn through their own interests.
Hi class. Good morning, ma'am. So everyone's done with their session except Zara. Zara, come on. Zara, Zara. Every rowdy class has a voice, waiting to be heard, wanting to be understood, wishing to be loved. Thank you, ma'am, for listening to us. Thank you for not giving up on us. Thank you for finding the reason for our rowdiness, for giving a channel to our craziness. Thank you, ma'am, for finding the poet in a zombie, for setting me free, for letting me be. No matter where we go and what we do, we'll always carry in our hearts a part of you. Dear ma'am, thank you.
Yes, yeah, dear friends, with this I conclude. The video was just to tell you that this may not be exactly related video which I wanted to show, but this video tells us that maybe sometimes if we bring some changes, some minor changes if we bring, if we understanding without understanding, or if we can give a push, yeah, we can bring changes, and sometimes changes are required, but we need to always tackle the negative changes in an effective way. I think with this I conclude. It's really nice that I had a chance to interact with you and all. So if any questions, I'll be very happy to answer. Yeah, otherwise over to Ida madam. So any questions or anything you want to say or anything you want to add?
So I just wanted to say that that was a very beautiful video, and thank you for sharing it, sir. It means a lot.
Thank you very much. Thank you. That's really nice to know. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Yes, sir, it was really a nice video and the session was really good. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. So
Yes,
if
sir.
that,
I also, excuse me, sir. I would like to say thank you before leaving the session.
yeah.
Session was very nice, and it's a very good, sir. Video was very good, and everything, sir. Whatever you have explained us, that was very nice, sir.
Thank you very much.
Which will give us a better picture and clear picture how to deal with group.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Thanks for that.
thank
Thanks
you,
for
sir.
that.
Thank you,
Yeah.
sir. Have a
Yeah.
good day, sir.
So